Welcome back to Masterpiece Tarot. My name is Tala, and I am going to re record part three of this three-part series. So, just a quick overcap. When I sat down to do these readings this morning, I initially asked Spirit just to share whatever wanted to come through. I got a really powerful message, and the situation was to do with a huge cycle closing out. Huge in the sense that there were a lot of major arcanas, and essentially this is to do with, you know, a community, a collective, helping to close out a cycle, and lift up some, like an earth angel, essentially, but it also could have been a collective of earth angels, of people who are, answering God's call, or, answering the divine's call to serve. And in the second reading, I wanted to learn more about the community. So we dove into that. So check out part two. And then here, I asked Spirit to, I wanted to know more about this earth angel who's ascending. And so this is the read that I pulled. I had to redo it because somehow the sound didn't come through. So I put the exact same cards back out, and I'm going to just go ahead and go through the reading with you. Yeah. So just as a reminder, this is our main energy of our person, our earth angel, and they are in Hanged Man. And then we have the past, the present, and the future. Okay. And in general, we're seeing, I'll just do the Light Seers cards first. This is our person. They are in Hanged Man. So there's a sense, and this card came out a lot in the first two readings. There is a sense that there's this period of waiting. This person is, working on seeing things in a new way, trying to gain greater understanding. And so, yeah, and we can see that it's actually happening with this light around the crown. Some enlightenment is coming through. In the past, we see an emperor energy here. So the emperor is typically, a strong leader, somebody who is structured, somebody who, holds power well, leads others in a positive way. But the emperor is also sometimes known to get out of control or go a little too far, get carried away with their power. It's kind of like one of the shadow sides. And when I first did the reading, I was really drawn to this. Initially, I thought it was a pawn, and it looks like it could be a pawn. But then when I looked closer, you can see there's like a cross on top of it. So I didn't know if that was supposed to symbolize like a religious um, um, symbol, um, or if that is sometimes the king in, I think it's the king in chess, but I'm not totally sure. And what crossed my mind, and this is my subjective interpretation based on my own religion, my own background in religions, I should say. And, I sort of didn't quite put it all together that that might be the king in chess. It might not be, I'm not entirely sure. But I was reminded that, like, in Buddhism, it's actually disrespectful to touch the Buddha's head. Now, obviously, that's not a Buddha or a Buddha's head, but um, and then when I thought more about it, it just seems like maybe he's connecting with like the Godhead, because it is a cross there. And so, anyway, that's the Emperor. And then in the present, we see that our Temperance Angel from the previous reads, this person who's currently in Hanged Man, is also in a Ten of Cups, or, very soon moving into this. This is very much in the present. And so there is a sense that of completion. You know, tens are um, you know, the highest number. So there's a sense of completion. There's a sense of fulfillment. Um, there's a sense that, you know, with this victory and the closing out of this cycle, represented by the World card in our first reading, um, that, you know, part of the recognition and reward is part of the abundance, and the blessings are a family. And we see this person in the same kind of green, right? Same as like what's on this card a little bit, this green color, which is like the heart. It's the color of the fourth chakra, which is the heart center. We see this person really enjoying themselves. Part of the abundance is, you know, the freedom to be creative. You can see there's a lot of affection there. There's a sense of ease and comfort and enjoyment. So that's something that's definitely in the energy. And then in the future, we see that somebody's in Hermit. And what I'm getting initially as I look at this card is that indeed our person has ascended here. This angel that we're asking about, there is a sense that this person has, you know, they're sitting on top of this bluff here, but it almost looks like they're levitating, and they're kind of emitting some starlight in a way, like they've become filled with light. So there is a sense of ascension here. But what I also really love about this card in this particular series is the shallowness of these stairs, because I think it highlights, you know, when you have shallow stairs like that, it can take a lot longer than, like, say, climbing a ladder. And I think that kind of highlights how this has been a very long journey. There have been, in this series of readings, there have been several Hanged Men cards that have come out. And there is a sense that there's a cycle that's been going on for quite some time. So we'll go a little bit more into that, all of those here, but I just want to go ahead and clarify now. So with our Hanged Man here, guess what? We have another Hanged Man here in the center. We got another Hanged Man. So we see, though, that our Earth Angel is victorious with the Six of Wands. There is a victory here. This person is being recognized. They're being celebrated. Yeah, they're receiving accolades. And, you know, one of the things that crossed my mind is that these two Hanged Men cards right here, you know, one of the things that might have facilitated this victory is this twinning situation here, these mirror reflections, and in fact one's a feminine and one's a masculine. And, you know, this kind of is symbolic of, or this it's not really symbolic, this actually is a representation of divine counterparts. You know, when two people are truly aligned, they are able to mirror each other and to assist one another in their ascension journey. And so there's a sense that something like this might have facilitated the ascension of the Earth Angel that we're talking about in this series. And then here with this last card, what I was getting here is that, you know, somebody's looking at this victory here in the Five of Cups. They're looking at this victory and they're feeling sad. It's almost as if they have personally lost something as a result of this person's victory. So that could be looked at a lot of different ways. It could have to do with emotion. somebody could lose a connection. There could also just be a lot of emotion around this shift. I think what is important to realize, though, is that, one of the things about this card is that that individual is focused on what has spilt over. They're not even seeing the two cups behind that are still standing. And, because in this series we're talking about community and how, in a big cycle that involves like a lot of quote unquote stakeholders, or whatever you want to call it, interests, variable interest groups or something, there is a need to I would say maybe try to be graceful in the face of defeat, and realize you still have two cups standing. But he's experiencing some grief and some loss. Okay, and then we move on to our Emperor. And the Emperor here is being clarified by these three cards. Okay, we have a Queen of Pentacles. This is, somebody who's abundant. She's a queen, so she's mature. She's nurturing, but she's also very fruitful. We have an Eight of Wands, which symbolizes fast movement. Could be also quick incoming messages, hasty action, something like this. And then we have an Eight of Swords, and this represents somebody feeling all up in their head. There's a sense of entrapment or even imprisonment. And what I'm getting when we read these cards along with the Emperor, I kind of see these two as going together. The Emperor and the Queen of Pentacles. Compared to the individual in this card, these are like elders in the community. This appears to be somebody a bit younger, but I couldn't be certain. But they are people in positions, of higher standing, high standing. They have resources, they have power in society. And what I'm getting here, part of why this cycle is closing out, is an act of justice, which we saw in one of the previous readings in the series. One of the reasons why this is closing out is related to something that perhaps a couple did to another. All right, there could have been something sort of unfair, intentional, unintentional, I'm not sure, but in any event, this could be any number of things. A lot of times this is thought to be messages, communication, but it seems to me that this is pointed toward her, like she's a target or something like that. And yeah, I'm getting the sense that in the past, because this is in the past, this is part of our ascending angel story. I don't want to say that she was victimized per se, because I think that word has a lot of connotations, but there was something unfair. Somebody maybe misused their power for personal gain, and put this person in a pretty lousy position of being entrapped and imprisoned and stuff. And so this person really they have to work to get out of that. That's what I'm getting there with that. Then we come down to the current, right, with our Ten of Cups, and the clarifying cards here suggest that, this wheel of karma, the wheel of fortune, has turned in our angel's favor. Because of their own diligence and hard work and persistence, they have become the star. They're healing, they're able to heal themselves, and because of that, they're able to elevate. And so this really does tie in well with the Ten of Cups. You know, there's a sense that this person has earned it. Okay, they didn't get a free ride. That's like manual labor. She's holding a mallet and she's working hard to build what it is she's building, or in this case, to free herself from, you know, being in the Hanged Man for so long. And so this highlights the blessing, kind of shows how and why this person is now being blessed. Karma. This person has good karma. And so it's probably to do with not just what they've been through and endured, but how they got through it and how they endured. You know, like the image here, I feel that this individual, both of these individuals, look respectable to me. They look, in a way, dignified. They both do. Yeah. And then here we have the Hermit, and this is in the future. And the cards that clarify here are the Temperance Angel coming out again. And so with this Hermit energy, I'm getting the sense that because this has been a protracted or drawn out cycle, this person has, you know, suffered, and, you know, maybe suffered greatly, to the extent that, you know, a cycle could have already closed, which it did with the World in the first reading. Here we see it again. We saw it in the reading number 2, I believe, with the Ten of Pentacles. And I think the Ten of Cups came out too in that reading. But in any event, point is, despite the cycle closing, there's still a need to do the inner work, and there always will be a need. But when you go through really hard stuff, you know, patterns of survival become ingrained, whether they are maladaptive or adaptive. They might have been adaptive at one point, but they become maladaptive when there's no longer a need to fight. And so what I'm seeing with these cards here is that our Temperance Angel is invoking her inner Queen of Swords, right? So that she can cut off this devil. She really needs to work at discerning and sorting things out within her mind, and take time to recover. And sometimes it's necessary to be in hermit energy, you know, really insulate oneself from the noise of the outside world so that you can gain that clarity. Sometimes the noise can really interfere with our own true knowing, our own true inner voice, knowing, you know, what we need to do as individual souls on our journeys to take care and to continue in the right way. Another thing with the devil that I'm drawn to is this binding. It's like this Temperance angel has absolutely zero tolerance at this point. She will cut it, anything that is binding in a way that is unfair. Okay? She's not going to go for it because I think she's had enough of it. She doesn't like how it feels. Okay? I think she's very reasonable. Okay, with the Queen of Swords is using her mental to make decisions. So I think she's very logical. So it doesn't mean that she's not willing to make commitments and enter into contracts, but it means that she's going to be very discerning about anything that would unfairly trap her in a situation that wouldn't be good for her. Which is a beautiful thing. It's an important lesson that souls learn along the journey. Yeah. So I feel that these readings that I did today are, this series 1 through 3 are very, very powerful. I feel like this will resonate with a lot of people who have been going through or have been part of this collective that's been moving through this cycle currently and are reaching some point of completion. I do feel like there's a big, flock of us. I don't know what you would call it. I think there are people who have been journeying together in some ways. And yeah, it is an honor to bring through these messages. I really do feel honored that Spirit brought through these cards today. It felt very special when I was pulling the cards, and it still does to me in this moment. It feels like a very special and significant reading. So I really hope that this resonates for some of you or all of you. And I appreciate you all tuning in. I'll talk to you later. Bye for now.